In this tutorial, I'll show you how to create custom metric groups, define the metrics you want to track, and input data. Let's begin with a couple of definitions. For the purposes of LodgingMetrics, metrics are data used for measuring, comparing, or tracking performance or production. Metric groups are a set of metrics that you group together, usually similar in nature or related. For example, if you would like to track a hotel's daily sales numbers, you might create a metric group called Daily Numbers. Within that group, you would define each of the metrics that are important to you, like occupancy percentage, ADR, and RevPAR. To create a custom metric group, click on the Account drop-down link, choose Settings, and scroll down to Metric Groups. Let's create a metric group called Daily Numbers. Click on Add Metric Group. For display name, type Daily Numbers. Since we're tracking daily numbers, set the interval to daily. However, you can set the interval to weekly or monthly by clicking on the down arrow. Daily numbers relate to a specific property, so let's set the Track By field to Property. You can also track metrics at the company-wide level by selecting Company, or at the individual level by selecting Employee. Depending on your business rules, you may want to keep this data private. If data is marked as private, only the user accounts authorized to view private data will see this metric group. For this example, I'll set the privacy to Not Private. When finished, click Save. Metrics. The next step is to define the various metrics you want to track. For our Daily Numbers metric group, let's create metrics for occupancy, ADR, and RevPAR. To create a new metric, click on Add Metric. In the Display Name field, type Occupancy. Set the metric type value to percentage since occupancy should be displayed as a percentage. You can also set metric types to number if the value is a whole number, currency if the value is financial, or decimal if the value includes a decimal point. Set the enabled for to all. However, if you only want to track a metric for some properties, choose certain properties. This selection will dynamically list each of the properties you have defined in the Properties section under Settings. Check the boxes beside each of the properties that are applicable and leave the others unchecked. When done, click Save. Now, let's create a metric for ADR. Click on Add Metric. For display name, type ADR. Here, since average daily rate is a financial metric, set the metric type to currency. Set enabled for to all. Click Save. Finally, let's create a metric for RevPAR. Click on Add Metric. For display name, type RevPAR. RevPAR is a financial metric, so set the metric type to currency. Set enabled for to all. Click Save. You now have your first metric group and you're ready to start inputting data. Front Desk. All data entry is done through the Front Desk section. Let's begin with a couple important reminders. 1. Track By. Since metric groups can be tracked at the company, property, or employee level, you must choose the appropriate option to input data. For example, the Daily Numbers metric group is set to Track By Property, so you need to choose which property you are inputting data for. To select a specific property, click on the All Properties pull-down link in the navigation bar and make your selection. However, if you only have one property defined in LodgingMetrics, the link to choose between all properties or a specific property in the menu bar will be hidden. 2. User Access. Don't forget that there are access checkboxes in the User Accounts section that determine which sections of the LodgingMetrics platform each person can or cannot see. So if the Front Desk checkbox is not selected, that user will not be able to enter data. Similarly, if a metric group is marked as private, only user accounts allowed to view private data will have access to that group. To begin inputting data, click on the Front Desk link. Select either All Properties or a specific property. Choose a metric group. If you only have one metric group defined, the page will default to that metric group. As you create more, you can quickly select other metric groups by clicking on the pull-down menu above the date selector. The page will default to the current week, but you can use the date selector to choose a different date range to enter historical data. Now, all you have to do is click on the appropriate cell and plug in your numbers. In the next video, I'll show you how to create custom calculations based on the metrics you already have in your system.